All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to turn on your volume because this is our first flipped lesson. Hands up, guys, if you are one of those students who never writes anything down in class. And hands up again if you sometimes go home and can't remember what you're supposed to do with your work because you didn't write it down and you don't understand. This lesson is all about taking notes and writing it down because everyone forgets sometimes. And today's lesson objectives are that by the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain the purpose of note-taking, list the qualities of good notes, and explain and use the Cornell note-taking method. These objectives are here to help you understand what you're going to be learning, so you're getting some ideas in your head right now about what you should pay attention to through the rest of the lesson. This is your keywords chart. I recommend you write down the words on this chart in order. Leave a little space between them because these are going to be the main ideas that you want to make sure 100% of the time make it into your notes. So first up, the keyword is notes, followed by summary and shorthand. We also have traits, being clear, concise, and organized. And then we have Cornell Method, include keywords, notes, and summary. Make sure you have these down before you move on. Remember to hit pause and rewind as needed to get the information you need. Also remember, it is never okay to mute your teacher. All right, notes are here to record the main ideas, tips, and connections that you need so that you can study later on your own. It is a scientifically proven fact that it takes multiple exposures to learn a new subject, 3 to 6 exposures for that matter, and that means that you're going to have to do some of your learning on your own time. I know. Nobody wants to use their own time for school stuff when you've already used 8 hours out of the day, but guess what? It's life. We all have to deal with it. So, tips and connections. This is what we're looking to put down. However, notes need to be done in a certain way. They need to be summarized. You should not be trying to write down every single word I am saying, even if you have figured out how to turn on the closed captioning so that you can see that. Don't write everything down. Just the main points, the highlights of the lesson, the real things that you need to know. Main ideas, tips, and any connections you're making between concepts, or that I make for you. Please make sure that you summarize these in your own words. You could copy down every single thing that I'm saying, word for word, just how I said it, and sure, it would be in your notes, and you might even be able to memorize it enough to pass a test. However, it's not going to do you any good for actually learning it, and this is what we're learning new things. So you need to put the main ideas and the tips I give you and things like that down in your own words. Some people find it helpful to use shorthand, which is kind of a personal abbreviation system, so that you can record notes in a timely fashion. It doesn't apply so much with this lesson because you can pause or rewind as needed, but it will apply in regular classrooms. So, something to know for later. Again, just to reemphasize, don't copy everything word for word. Only get the main ideas and put it in your own words so that your notes have meaning for you. All right, good notes have 3 main traits, and that is they are clear. You can write them down so that you can remember. If you're using shorthand, make sure your abbreviations are obvious. If you're using sentence fragments, make sure they make sense. If you write something down in a way that you don't understand it later, it's not doing you any good. So write them down so that you can remember what they mean. They're clear and understandable. Concise. This means it's to the point and sticks to the important stuff. You're not writing down every single itty bitty little word that I am saying because I just used a whole lot of unnecessary words in there. Do not write your notes word from the slide or the teacher's voice. Be to the point, get only the main ideas. And notes need to be organized. If they're not organized, you're going to have a hard time finding what you need in them, and it makes it hard to understand them. So be organized. And again, do not write everything down. Pick up the main ideas and put them. I cannot say this enough. All right. So remember just a minute ago when I said that your notes need to be like organized? Yeah, that. Organization is an essential trait for good notes. And for this, we're going to use the Cornell method, which is a note-taking method that uses a 3-box graphic organizer. Those 3 boxes are your keyword box, where you write down the lesson keywords, just like I told you to do at the beginning of this lesson. If you didn't listen, stop what you're doing, rewind this lesson, and get those keywords down, then catch up your notes. You also have a notes box. Record the notes and examples in this box. You should do them in orders. If you're setting up your spacing right, then you'll put a keyword, and across from that keyword in the notes box will be the information on that keyword, and then the next keyword and the information on that, and so on and so forth. Kind of like a vocabulary list, but in 2 different boxes. And then you'll have your summary box. This is where you're going to write out main ideas, connections to other concepts, and question about the material. So before we get into any more, let's take a look at what this really looks like. All right, here you have a Cornell chart, and you can see up here at the top where they have a spot for topic and source and name, class period, etc. This is always good information to take. Okay, this stuff is always good information to take down because it helps you know what your notes are on. Then over here is your keyword box. Here they have it labeled questions. Normally it would be for keywords, and that's where you write those keywords down. The next box over for that is your notes box, where you'll write down your notes on the keywords. And this last box down here is, and I said you were going to write out the main ideas. Ideally, in your notes box, you're using shorthand or sentence fragments. In the summary box, you're using complete sentences, and you're rewriting those key points. So what points do you think are the most important and why? You're also going to write out any connections. For example, if I say something about how writing good sentences works, then makes you think of how writing good paragraphs works, you write that connection down. You're also going to write down questions here. This box is your very important box, because if you write your questions down here in class, you'll get clarification. This is the box that helps you the most. But you have to do the first 2 steps in order to know what you need in that summary box. Learning is not a passive activity. Even with a lecture, you actually have to take in the information and put it all together to make it work. So notes are one area that you do that, and that's one thing that makes them super important. Notes are here to record information you'll need to review later. And also for the purpose of this class, you'll need them if you ever need a retake or they are your ticket to being able to get a second chance on assignments that didn't go over well for you. So, notes record information you'll need to review later, and they should be summaries in your own words. I apologize for the technical difficulties. They slide rather slowly. Notes need to be clear, concise, and organized in order to do you any good, and in our class, we use the Cornell method, which is a graphic organizer consisting of a keywords box, a notes box, and a summary box. Make sure, now that you've done once, that you take the notes you got and go back and put them into that graphic organizer you saw.